All right, let's dive right into this explainer. We are connecting late June 2026's absolute biggest global events. And honestly, we're looking at a fascinating intersection of high-stakes situations today. We're going to take you from the intense geopolitical tension in the Strait of Hormuz over to the macroeconomic anxieties surrounding AI, and finally, we'll wrap up with the ultimate thrill of the FIFA and Women's T20 World Cups.
Here's what we're covering today. 1. Truce in the Strait. 2. The AI financing bubble. 3. World Cup round of 32. 4. Key FIFA knockout matchups. And 5. T20 World Cup, India exits.
Part 1. Truce in the Strait. Navigating the ceasefire in the Strait of Hormuz.
So, we're kicking things off with that massive geopolitical flashpoint where the US and Iran have managed to agree to halt military exchanges. This is all to sustain a very fragile ceasefire. Over just 4 intense days, we saw a rapid escalation and then de-escalation of military actions in the Strait of Hormuz. It all started on day 1 with attacks on commercial vessels which the US blamed on Iran. The US then responded with strikes on Iranian military infrastructure. Iran immediately retaliated, launching missile and drone attacks targeting US military facilities in Bahrain and Kuwait, though US officials noted these were either intercepted or just missed. Finally, by day 4, a memorandum of understanding produced a ceasefire, allowing commercial shipping to cautiously resume. And, this matters immensely. This brief disruption impacted a strategic choke point where roughly 1/5 of the entire world's seaborne oil trade normally passes.
Now, despite this ceasefire, conflicting viewpoints on maritime authority remain a massive hurdle. We're seeing 2 totally different interpretations here. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi insists that under the memorandum, Tehran alone has the responsibility for managing maritime traffic, warning that outside intervention is just going to complicate the return to normalcy. But on the flip side, U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Mike Waltz, maintains that freedom of navigation absolutely must be preserved. He issued a pretty stark warning that Iran is sadly mistaken if they think the U.S. will just stand by if international shipping is attacked again.
And we got a stark reminder of just how fragile this ceasefire really is from President Donald Trump, who posted this statement after authorizing additional U.S. strikes over the weekend. It brilliantly, and maybe a bit terrifyingly, illustrates the incredibly high stakes right now. The technical talks might be continuing, but the underlying tensions, they are absolutely massive.
Moving on to Part 2. The AI financing bubble. BIS warnings on global economic stability.
Let's see how this geopolitical tension builds into broader macroeconomic anxiety. The crucial point here is that the Bank for International Settlements, which is essentially the central bank for central banks, has identified 4 distinct pressure points in its annual economic report that currently threaten global financial stability. We're looking at resurgent inflation, where negative supply shocks, like exactly what we just saw in the Strait of Hormuz, could completely de-anchor inflation expectations. We also have AI optimism clashing with supply bottlenecks. Then there are deep financial vulnerabilities specifically tied to highly leveraged AI funding. And the kicker? All of this is happening against a backdrop of near record high public debt, meaning governments literally have very little room to respond if a crisis hits.
$1 trillion. Just let that number sink in for a second. To understand the sheer scale of this AI optimism, the 5 largest hyperscalers, those massive global cloud and tech providers, are projected to spend over $1 trillion on AI-related capital expenditure just from 2025 through 2026. The catch, though, these commitments are already outpacing their earnings and free cash flow, and that is prompting some massive debt issuance. And here's where the structural risk gets really interesting. According to Zhong Tao, the BIS Asia-Pacific representative, the speed of a market correction could be drastically faster than a traditional banking crisis. Why is that? Well, because the money is sitting in opaque, non-bank channels. Direct lending funds have reportedly quadrupled their AI and IT sector exposure to 15% of their portfolios. We are seeing these crazy circular financing arrangements between chip makers, hyperscalers, and AI labs, where the exact same assets might be pledged multiple times. It's like a giant house of cards. These non-bank intermediaries just don't have the same regulatory circuit breakers as conventional lenders, meaning unchecked financial shockwaves could move incredibly fast.
So it really begs the question, are we facing another dot-com boom? The BIS is actually drawing direct historical comparisons to previous technology investment surges that attracted excess capital and, well, ended in recessions. They list the 1830s canal mania, the 1840s British railway mania, the 1920s electrification exuberance, and, of course, the 1990s dot-com bubble. It really makes you wonder if this incredible surge in AI infrastructure spending will end in a similar reversal. Regulators now have explicit backing from the BIS to push for disclosure requirements on these off-balance sheet AI financing structures before it's too late.
All right, Section 3. World Cup, Round of 32. The global playground opens. After exploring those heavy systemic, economic, and geopolitical risks, it is definitely time to release the tension and pivot to the unifying, high-stakes drama of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. This is a massive logistical undertaking. It actually represents the very first time in history that a FIFA World Cup has featured a single elimination round with more than 16 teams remaining. We've got 16 incredible matches being played across 14 different host cities.
Every single game from June 28th to July 3rd is now a battle for survival on the world's absolute biggest sporting stage. The group stages are officially behind us, and 32 teams have entered a strict do-or-die gauntlet where the margins for error are absolutely zero.
Section 4. Key FIFA Knockout Matchups. Clashes of Titans.
Let's zoom in on a couple of the most highly anticipated matchups coming up in this historic round of 32. First up, Germany and Paraguay are facing off at Gillette Stadium. These two bring a brief but really intense shared history into this critical elimination game. They've only ever met twice before. Germany secured a super tight 1-0 victory in the round of 16 at the 2002 World Cup, and then they played out a thrilling 3-3 friendly back in 2013. It's a classic matchup of German efficiency against resilient Paraguayan resolve.
Next up, we have a phenomenal fixture in Guadalupe, the Netherlands versus Morocco. Both of these are top 10 ranked FIFA teams, by the way. This matchup is just a fascinating tactical duel. On one side, you have a highly formidable Dutch defense that surrendered just 2.22 expected goals against in the group stages, meaning they barely gave up any high-quality scoring chances at all, alongside their X-factor Brian Brobby leading the attack. On the other side, you have Morocco, the reigning AFCON champions and 2022 semi-finalists. They boast an incredibly capable attack led by Ismail Saibari playing as a false nine, which is a striker who dangerously drops back to overload the midfield. This is actually the first time they've met in the World Cup since the Dutch won 2-1 way back in 1994, and it is going to be an absolute chess match for midfield control.
Finally, Section 5. T20 World Cup, India exits. Australia advances to the semifinals.
Shifting gears from the soccer pitch to the cricket oval, we're wrapping up today with a high-octane Women's T20 World Cup showdown that literally just concluded. In a must-win Group A fixture for India, they posted a very competitive 170 for 4 in their 20 overs. But Australia? They masterfully chased down that 171-run target, finishing at 172 for 4 and winning by 6 wickets with an entire over to spare. It was just a perfectly executed run chase.
This match was totally defined by some unbelievable explosive batting performances. India's captain, Harmanpreet Kaur, went absolutely berserk in the final over of the first innings, smacking 3 consecutive sixes to finish with 56 off just 27 balls. But Australia answered right back. Elise Perry smacked 56 off 38 balls, and Ashley Gardner remained unbeaten with a brilliant 53 off 29 balls, stitching together a late partnership that really just took the game away. But honestly, the turning point might have been a devastating miscommunication for India. Jemima Rodriguez reverse-swept the ball and kind of got caught ball-watching. Smriti Mandana went for a single, realized Jemima wasn't moving, and failed to get back in time, resulting in a crucial run-out for 38 runs. That severely hindered India's momentum when they needed it most.
And because of this defeat, India officially crashes out of the tournament. Australia perfectly punched their ticket to the semifinals, and they'll be advancing out of Group A alongside South Africa.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this thought. We are watching history unfold in real time across so many different domains. How will the intersection of these intense geopolitical realities in the Middle East, the rapid AI economic risks bubbling right under the surface, and these massive, unifying sporting triumphs shape the world we live in over the coming months? Thank you so much for exploring the pulse of the globe with me today. Keep asking questions, keep looking at the data, and I'll catch you in the next